Yeah, I bought this Silvercrest wireless mouse from Lidl. £6.99. It's about $9, I suppose. And it's got all the necessary buttons on it. The scroll wheel, the tactile feel to the scroll wheel is not the best, but it's not bad. And I took it out of the packet and thought, yeah, I can do that. And there's a small USB dongle that plugs in the computer, which is not on here. It's still in the computer at the moment. So when I move this at the moment, the mouse is moving on the screen of my computer. And I thought, well, I mean, that's quite good actually. And then I noticed when I took these batteries out, I thought, wow, they've shipped really nice quality batteries. You know, when you pick up an alkaline battery and it's got some heft to it, you know there's a lot inside, you know, there's a lot of capacity in there. And I thought, well, these are probably Mitsubishi batteries, and they're about as big as they can be, case-wise, that will fit in the mouse. So they've put some pretty good alkaline batteries in, and you have to wonder why they've done that. You think, well, why is it necessary to put such good batteries in? And I remember thinking at the time, I wonder how long the batteries last. Well, the answer to that question is not very long, and it's 6 days. I've used the computer possibly 7 or 8 hours during the 6 days, and when I came back to it this morning, the batteries were just completely dead. And I took them out, and sure enough, they're reading about 600 millivolts. So they've gone from 1.5 volts to 600 millivolts. So I was thinking, well, what happens when you use this mouse is if you move it around without waking it up, you get no action from the mouse. So you have to click the button, and then the LED comes on underneath, and it starts working correctly as a mouse like it is now. Okay, so about a week battery life is not good when you consider you know, all the chemicals and metal that goes into making a battery. And there's no warning. I mean, if it was rechargeable, okay, well, perhaps that's okay, buy a cheap mouse. But this is one of those products that they make it and ship it and don't really care about the environmental impact of having to buy batteries. I mean, at the moment, this has been made, and because of its battery consumption, either I can take it back and complain, or I can just stick it in the drawer. There's no way I'm buying 2 batteries every week just to have 5 or 6 hours computer time. It's ridiculous. Why make a product like that? So I just thought I would call them out on it and just do a few tests just to show you what's going on. So in here is, take the battery compartment off, is 2 new batteries. And what I've done is I've put 2 pieces of aluminium foil in there, separated. It's not working now, you see, separated by double-sided tape. So this is the positive contact that goes to the insides, the internals, to power the mouse. This is the positive contact of the battery. It's just 2 pieces of aluminium foil stuck together in a sandwich with an insulating layer of double-sided tape. Okay, so if I put these together, you might see the LED start lighting up. Okay, so without further ado, what I've got is my trusty meter. There we go. And set to the DC current mode in milliamps. There's the other clip gone. Can't find the other clip. There we are. And if I put that on the positive side, reflecting that's connected to the battery. And this one is connected to, there we go. So it's pulsing away, and it's looking for a surface. At the moment it's trying to see, I think it's like an ant on its back or a beetle on its back. It's got its legs in the air and it's thinking, where's the ground gone? So if we just give it something to pretend to be, here we are. If we use the battery compartment lid, so we're pulling about 3.75 milliamps DC, okay? So if I put that on there and start moving it around, you can see as soon as it makes contact and it's got some data, it's hovering around 4 or 5 milliamps. Alright, so that's when you're moving the mouse around and it's scanning, you can see I'm just moving that around is making it up to 14, 15, 18 milliamps. So how much data is being sent, how much current is taken is depending on how much data and how often it has to flash the LED to get that texture in. My mouse on my computer screen is whizzing around all over the place at the moment. So there we go. So we could say, I reckon, when you're moving it, around and doing intense work, you might be thinking of an average current of maybe 8 or 9 milliamps. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is just pause that and let it stabilise for a while until it shuts down into quiescent mode. And you can tell when it's quiescent mode when the LED goes out. And when the LED goes out, I've tried this, it only wakes up when you press the mouse button on the other side. So it's in standby. When the LED goes out, it's in standby, okay. So I'm going to pause the camera now and time how long it takes to drop into standby, and then come back to you and we'll see, and then we'll do some calculations to see how long the batteries should, in theory, how long they should last. And then we can decide whether it's just a ridiculous product which just gobbles up batteries with no regard to the environment or the customer's pocket, just to make a couple of quid or a pound for the supplier in the UK. So I will wait and see. Interesting, we're about 5 minutes into the test and waiting for it to go into standby. And you can see it's going 5.8, 5.9. It keeps going up to 10 milliamps and staying there and then dropping back down again as though it's trying to connect or something's happening. Not sure, I'm not touching anything, but it's going through some kind of situation where the current is jumping up. I don't know why. I can't see whether the LED's on or off at the moment. I'll have a look. Okay, so we're about 15 minutes since we last spoke on the video, and look, it's cut out now. Look, there's nothing going on. The LED's gone out. There's nothing happening when I do this. I can rattle and shake it around. It seems to be reacting to the light slightly, but there's no mouse movement on the screen. So we're running at about 8.8 milliamps, 8.89 milliamps. So we call it 8.5 milliamps, sorry, to be generous. So if I click one of the buttons, you can see it comes back to life, the light comes back on, and then we're back in operation again. So it looks like the standby current is 8 milliamps. So let's do a few calculations on a standard battery and see what we find out. Okay, I've been on the Mitsubishi website, and for this particular battery, they say that it's between 5 and 700 milliamps. So let's call it 600, and then we got two of them, so running at sort of 3 volts at 600 milliamps. So they're in series. So if they were in parallel, we'd double that capacity. But because they're in series, we just take the 600, and if we say 600 divided by 8, this is 75 hours battery life. And it's dipping around between 4 and, so 75 hours of use, but on standby it was between 4 and 8, so let's call it 5. So 600 divided by 5, and you all know what the answer to this one is, don't you? 120 hours. So, you know, we're talking divided by 24. Yeah, mine lasted about 6 days. That's consistent with what I saw. I saw it go dead after about 6 days, with probably about 4 or 5 hours of computer use in those 6 days. So all in all, not very good. Now I don't know if this one's just faulty or whether this is by design. If it's by design, it's an atrocious environmental oversight, because this thing is going to be useless. You're either going to keep feeding it batteries, or you're just going to use it once or twice and discover that the battery consumption is too high, and then put it to one side and it will go in a drawer. So all the effort that's been made, taken to make this, and all the plastic and the oil and the precious trace elements that have been mined for the semiconductors and so on, are just going to be wasted. And don't forget, there's this and the receiver part in the other half of the computer. So all in all, not very good at all. $6.99. I'd rather pay £7.99 and have one that's correctly designed and goes into a real standby state, rather than just appearing to turn the LED off, going dead but still drawing 8 or 9 milliamps. So yeah, LIDL, Silvercrest, you can do better. I'm quite happy to send you this one if you want to test it. I'm happy to answer any questions, but you really should look at the environmental impact of your products before you market them. If you send me a working one and it's a different story completely, okay, I'll accept this one's faulty, but at the moment I haven't got time to run all the way back to your store and trade it in and then try another one and hope for the best. So really ought to be looking at this type of thing with battery consumption especially. So I hope you found that interesting. Don't buy one of these is my advice.